Hi everyone, let's talk about Orléans Stories, which I did a playthrough for just for the First Kingdom story, and you can check that out now if you would like. If you'd like to see it all laid out on the table, you can see a little bit of it here and see how it plays and stuff. That'll be linked in the description. So, I love Orléans and Orléans Invasion. I love both since they first came out. The base game, the bag building, everyone working simultaneously to plan all of their stuff and then executing it one by one. There was a big map in Orléans and you were trying to go down certain paths to gain goods and things. It's just an absolutely fantastic game. I did a couple of solo playthroughs for it way back at the start of the channel if you'd like to check them out. Invasion added a load more scenarios, added a cooperative mode, which is absolutely fantastic. It just elevated Orléans for us, especially since we like cooperative games and we're generally playing two players and we don't like anything nasty between the players. It just gave you a big set of shared objectives that you needed to achieve, and so you were thinking in a different way about your bag building. You were thinking about how your personal contribution was going to work out, what bag you needed to build to customize all of that. So Orléans Stories, there was another expansion as well. There was Trade and Intrigue, but the intrigue part was really nasty, and so wasn't really interested in picking that up. So Orléans Stories is kind of this is like a framework for a game system, essentially. It's a big box, it's an expensive box, but the idea is supposed to be that it comes with most of the components that you would need for future stories, so that when they come out, they can be smaller affairs, presumably. So it comes with two stories in the box, and I had assumed kind of when it was announced and stuff that it was going to be some kind of campaign game that you would play through these stories over multiple games and that rules would change and stuff. Kind of what more of what I've been used to in legacy games, really. But just calling it a campaign game is basically just resettable, right? But it's one standalone game. It's one standalone story per game, and it's a more complex game than Orléans, and a longer game than Orléans as well. Much longer game in our experience. And so you are invited to this thrilling story as far as the First Kingdom is concerned. I have to say, well, if you're just hanging on for some kind of score or something at the end, I'll say that I really, really didn't enjoy Orléans Stories, despite how much I've enjoyed the base game and its expansion is just amazing. Really, really haven't enjoyed Orléans Stories. So the stories themselves, they're kind of I've only played the First Kingdoms. I haven't played the King's Favor. I've just kind of only flicked through that because But when things are called highly interactive, it 9 times out of 10 it just means that it's meaner, and there is kind of enough backstabbiness that goes on in the First Kingdom story, which is the not interactive one. So the stories themselves are kind of very, very loose frameworks to kind of excuse the rules changing, which isn't such a bad thing, but it's the kind of reasoning that you do in your own head when, like, say in Base Orléans, when there's a stack of events that are randomized, when they come out, you kind of make story excuses in your head, or at least I do sometimes, as to why certain rules are happening, especially if they're not, where, like, say, in a Vita Lacerda game, everything is kind of thematically grounded and there's little context things for why things are like that. In most games, it isn't written like that, and that's the kind of excuses you make. That's, suddenly we're drawing fewer followers. Okay, well, that's because this thing's just happened because the plague's happening and everybody is dying from that, so we draw fewer followers, or in the case of original Orléans, we're losing someone from the bag and stuff. It's kind of just a little bit more dressed up than that. There isn't very much story to it at all. And in fact, the day after that we had played it, there's a little mini 5 games for Doomsday, a fantastic board game podcast, did a mini episode about failure and talked a bit about Orléans Stories. And the phrase, I don't want to get it wrong now, I should have had a re-listen to it, but it's basically it's rules text wearing a nice suit is basically the gist of what Ben had said about it. That is basically that is the way to put it. It's dressed up rules text. It isn't really a story. I don't feel like I'm involved in a story any more than I did in normal Orléans. And in Invasion we did a little bit more. That there's this invasion coming and we're doing the ramparts and bolstering defenses and stuff. That felt like more of a story than this did, really. And that wasn't the idea of that. One of the things about it, so there's a lot of stuff that sounds really good on paper and as you're reading through it, but when you're playing it, in our experience anyway, that turns into a negative instead. So the idea that there are these eras set up, and each player can be in different eras. You can progress at different rates, and it's interesting at first that, okay, maybe I don't want to progress just yet. I want to stay in the era where I'm drawing loads and I've settled loads on the map, so I'm getting loads of points. I don't want to move on to the next eras, but you have to move on to at least, I believe you have to get to the last era to be able to build churches, which is one of the things on your sheet that you need to fulfill to win. So you have to go through them all sooner or later, if you want to win, that is. But there is a nice system of, okay, how long do I leave it? But that's kind of quickly descended into a kind of stalemate that we weren't able to move on as quickly as we had wanted. Just because of it could absolutely be inexperience with the game, and it wants to be a game of scarcity. I feel like, especially in a 2-player game, you are filling the markets up. When story cards come out, sometimes you'll be filling up the market stalls with a few more resources. In a 2-player game, it's like put 3 more wood out, and that's gone almost instantly. As long as someone's got some money, or they've got the wood spaces out on the board occupied, and they can do the terrain action. Yeah, the resources seem to be gone in an instant, and the base workers as well. When they're all you've got available, the fishermen and farmers just evaporate. Especially if somebody takes the tile that Marty had that turns your fishermen into other types. Well, now fishermen are absolutely going to disappear, because not only do you want them because you've got that amazing tile, everyone else has seen you've got that tile. There's no other equivalent in stage 1 anyway, and so everyone will want to deny you fishermen as well. So it just feels like things are so scarce that if someone isn't quite at the stage yet where they are wanting to build many villages, or they aren't at the stage where they can build fortresses and stuff, you can very easily just, I'm going to buy all of the wood, or, oh great, you've got 2 of the wine spaces. Well, only 3 wine came out this turn, and I'm rich, so I'm just going to buy all of this wine. So you can still do that action, but it's not going to be nearly as good as it was. I get that that's the intention. I don't think that's. That's probably the feeling that they wanted to evoke in it, but I really didn't like that feeling. I felt that it slowed the game down. It's held back our enjoyment of it. There was just it stretched the game out as well. It made it such a long thing. We just didn't really enjoy much about it at all. It just every corner we just kept thinking, well, I'd really like to be playing normal Orléans than this. And that's basically what it comes down to. I don't really know. Maybe if intrigue wasn't enough backstabbing, because in this, there's I put something down and it lets me swap a goods tile with you, and I might just give you a wheat for one of your best tiles. You might think that opens up the scarcity of the goods. There's only 3 opportunities for that, and then that's gone forever. And the replacement for that is, once knights enter into the game, I can send a knight off to the beneficial deeds and make you take one of your people off one of your spaces, and it goes back into your bag. Again, there's only 3 opportunities for that, but still just opportunity for nastiness. I don't want to make out like it's a huge part of the First Kingdoms, but area control in itself, and attacking places and taking them away from people. I'd kind of thought that the peace thing, it comes at the end of the game rather than it being something we can activate. I believe, like, it's kind of, we want to enter into the spirit of the game when we're playing it. We don't want to just we would probably just be like, well, we'll just ignore the area control thing, and we'll just spread out, and we can go into each other's territories. And when it says we swap a good with each other, we'll swap one from the supply. We didn't do that because I want to try it the way that it's intended. But there is enough of that to make me dislike it as well, even if the rest had been good. I kind of think if you want it with a bit more of an edge to it, and you don't mind a longer game, and you kind of enjoy that denial of things, that the game kind of has ground to a standstill, because it never ground to a complete standstill, but it did. There were some segments where it got very, very slow because just the resources people needed, or people just didn't get the people out that they needed to be able to advance to the next thing, because they really needed that one craftsman that was hiding in the bag so they could get the goods that they needed to be able to feed their people and stuff. And it could absolutely be beginner stuff, and once you're more experienced, none of this matters. I have to say, I've got no desire to become experienced and be at that level of it, if that is the case. And really, at the moment anyway, I don't really feel enthused to look forward to the new stories and stuff. Yeah, I've been quite disappointed with it, and I'm really looking forward to playing original Orléans again though, since it's pretty much what we talked about as we were going through stories. Yeah, so people say that I'm too positive about things. Hey, when it rains, it pours. But yeah, that's Orléans Stories. Let's move on to more positive things with a future game. Thank you for watching, everybody. I will be back with another game soon enough, probably. Not today, though. This took up the whole day filming this. Thanks, Orléans Stories. It looks nice, though, doesn't it? Bye.